Do you constantly feel like you're struggling with overwhelm and burnout as an executive chef? Well, what sets apart those who are thriving from the ones who are struggling with burnout and overwhelm? In this video, I'm going to systematically break down the key to creating ease and peace as an executive chef. So stay to the end of this video to find out how these pieces can be your secret weapon in achieving consistent culinary excellence, so that you can thrive, leading a team that executes your culinary vision and confidently running the business and admin aspects of your culinary operation. And I implemented these exact pieces with Chefs Andrew Vaughn and Derek Connor to organize and structure their programs so that the teams are executing consistently in their world-class environments. So let's dig into step number one. But before I get into the details, if you're looking to organize and structure your culinary program to achieve award-winning consistency, then I can help. This is what I do every day with my clients and their kitchens in hotels, clubs, restaurants, resorts, and casinos. I would love to speak with you directly so we can navigate and work through those problems together. Book a call below so I can support you. Back to those details. Let's break this down into 5 systematic pieces that's going to make a world of difference in the understanding of what it is that we need to do as an executive chef. And I like to think of this as mise en place for the executive chef, right? We're all familiar with mise en place. If you grew up in the industry like I did, I learned very early on that preparation is everything. In fact, that was the mantra of the CIA. That shows me that as long as I'm planning and creating a good plan and then executing that plan, then I'm likely to find success. Now, success at different levels looks very different. Success as a line cook looks very different than success as a sous chef, and then success as an executive sous chef, and then even success as an executive chef. The first piece is to reevaluate your relationship with time. Every time we step up, we get new habits that we have to figure out. We have new responsibilities that need space, right? We have new wants that we want to accomplish. And the old style of thinking at the last level that made us successful isn't going to be enough, rarely is it, to get over the next hurdle, the next obstacle of challenge, right? So the key to do that is to start making some space. And the best way to go about that, to me, is to start with what's going on in the day-to-day schedule. It's okay to be a little loose with the schedule when you're a young cook. I remember when I was a young cook, I had all the time in the world to do whatever I wanted. I could be very selfish with my time, and all I had to do was kind of show up to work and work on service, take care of cleaning up and serving food. Like, that was my life. I had no idea how good I had it until I became an executive chef, and I was like, wow, I kind of miss that. Inevitably, over the years as a cook, I started to understand that time was really what guided the majority of the success in my day. That's where all the little indicators were that I was going to be set up in time, that I was going to be able to cook a dish in the right amount of time, and that I was going to be able to execute. And I learned a lot of that through competition. But the key way to do that, right, is to literally just journal where your time's going now at your current level. And I can almost guarantee that you're going to find that there's a lot of time that goes to things that aren't the key function of what you need to be accomplishing, right? The new level has new devils. And like I said, new responsibilities that need to have space in the schedule. And it's difficult, I think, I know it was for me when I became an executive chef, to reevaluate and say, wow, I actually need a new, stricter schedule. I need a more strict wake-up time, especially when there's a few years in between making the move to executive sous chef and then up to executive chef. You settle into a role, you get your habits, things flow, and you're not necessarily paying attention to things. But it becomes really important to kind of get that stuff down on paper again and really look at where your time is actually going. Are you developing new habits, or do you need to develop some new habits? Habits don't usually just fall into place, right? That's why trainers are in place. That's why coaches are such an advantage, because they can help you identify the habits that you need and then hold you accountable to adapting and picking those things up. So that's step one. Reevaluate your relationship with time and then figure out where it's going. Pay attention to if it's going to where you want it to, and then make the adjustments as necessary. Step 2, cast a vision. What am I talking about? We all have an idea in our head of what performance looks like, what success looks like, the food we want to cook, the kitchen we want to run, the way our cooks look. We all have a vision in our head. No one on the team can see a vision that's in your head that you can't explain. So quite simply, the first step here is to get your vision down in a tangible form Write it down on a piece of paper. Record it on your phone. Capture it. Understand the vision that you want. Then you can start to ask yourself some questions. Is it obtainable? Is it possible? Is it reasonable? Once you have that in a place that you can come back to it, then you can start to connect all the little pieces to it that help you get there. You can look at other people's time. You can look at how the operation is running, and you can reappropriate the resources to get people to that point. To me, I often think of life being lived on two ends of a spectrum, right? I think of life as being the balance between 2 points of tension. And on one end is the vision that I'm talking about. When you have a vision, the team knows the direction that they need to travel. You have a clear guiding North Star that you can take people towards. And when you know it and you can verbalize it, then you can also sell it, pitch it, you can share it, and you can get people on board with your vision when you can explain it. That's one side. The other side is our third piece, right? That's our next step. It's anchoring the team. Anchors are consistent things that happen regularly that indicate that people can be successful. So I come back around to time for a lot of my anchors. Service starts at the same time every day, generally. Lunch service starts at the same time. Dinner starts at the same time. Those are the things that are determined by the business. But after you reevaluate your relationship with time, you'll probably find that there's some things in there that you kind of need to guide. What time is pre-shift? What time should people start for pre-shift? Food and beverage meetings, are they happening? That's the first piece. Are they happening at the regular time, on the regular day, every week? Is it consistent? To me, that should be an anchor. That's something that you create that around. For me, one of the biggest shifts happened when I started working with a coach at a regular day, on a regularly scheduled time, because then I had a predictable meeting and it guided me to be prepared for that meeting at a particular date and time. Being intentional as opposed to being reactive, right? Because I think that's a big problem we all deal with as chefs. We get sucked into this world where we're constantly reacting to the needs of others. And what we really need to do is stop and reevaluate how we're utilizing, again, our time so that we can be purposeful with it and accomplish the things that only we can accomplish. There's specific things that we do in our role that nobody else can do. And as the chef, nobody's coming to help you for the most part. So now we're going to anchor the team with clear meeting times, with clear, consistent expectations that are tied directly to our values. And that's going to give us the other point of alignment for our staff. Once we have those 2 points of alignment, then we can make sure that the choices that we make, that the systems that we create or document are in alignment with the principles that we have and the vision that we have cast. Step 4, stop shooting from the hip. What do I mean by that? Well, I've met more than a few people who are hip shooters, right? They're always improvising. They're always making it up as they go. You know, in a lot of ways, that's part of a creative process. But that's also a symptom of somebody who is a strong artist. As an artist, it's great because you're creative, you can, really bring things to a vision, but not necessarily explain it. We cook with our hands, we craft, we taste. If we're guiding a team, I find that I'm more effective, and as a chef, I'm thriving when I'm able to create a system or share that information with my team in such a way that they can replicate what was created. Now, we live in glass houses as managers, so if we're shooting from the hip, then we're likely to have a team that's shooting from the hip. And a problem that chefs are often facing is having a team that likes to improv whenever they feel like it, that likes to shoot from the hip when they have a chance to. In the odd chance that they're going to make it better because they're trying to make it as good as they can. That works when you have great cooks around or people that you've worked with for a really long time. But that makes it almost impossible to stay consistent. Everybody has a different standard of success, and only the EC or the culinary director is going to be able to really set that benchmark and show people how they're going to reach it. So as the executive chef, I think it's really critical to make sure that you stop shooting from the hip so you stop showing people that that's okay. The number one way to do that is by implementing recipes. I know I was taught at a young age, don't become a slave to a recipe, but a recipe, especially a well-written one that gets people to arrive to a destination, is going to create a consistent deliverable standard. The best chefs in the world, the best kitchens in the world have very, very established recipes. And I would even say they also have very specific shelf lives on product. 3 Michelin star restaurants tend to throw away their vinaigrettes at the end of the night so that they make it fresh the next day for that particular service and then throw it away at the end of the night so that it's consistently the same. Even if a vinaigrette is better the next day or 2 days after, especially if there's shallots involved. In my opinion, anyway, I love food. I started cooking because I love the taste of food. Never really loving the admin, but I had to learn how to become effective with the admin so that I could understand the business aspects and lead my kitchen. Again, being an executive chef requires a completely different skill set and again, different habits than when I was a cook or when I was a sous chef. So I myself had to learn how to stop shooting from the hip and be able to help people understand how to arrive at the destination that I wanted to. That came from having that clear vision, having principles that guided them and keeping them in alignment with those two pieces. And when I scheduled time appropriately to guide people along that path, then I was definitely putting one foot in front of the other and making progress within the operation. I hope I'm making sense. And if I'm making sense, please let me know in the comments below. All right, and so now the fifth piece that I think is super important to shift into that place where you're thriving as an executive chef is to allow the team to win and make it easy. So let's break that down just a touch, right? Allowing the team to win means having a clear standard for success and sharing that with people so that they can meet it. Now, I grew up at a time where that wasn't the case, right? The feedback I generally got was nothing or it's not good enough. It's not there yet. Nope, not right. You need to make that better. There's not enough. I'm not seeing enough. It doesn't taste right. Not a clear expectation on the other side of that. If you want to allow a team to win and not lose them, then I think it's super critical to be able to set a destination first. This is what this dish needs to look like. This is how this dish is supposed to taste. This is how we're going to do this. And then guide them to that path so that they can win and have a successful end of the day. I spent the first 20 years of my career at the end of the day feeling like an absolute loser because I always felt like I was in a place where I sucked at my job. Now, I also had pride in what I did and I felt like I was doing the right thing. I kept my jobs, I kept doing the work, I kept getting guidance, and I kept getting people to invest in me as well. Chefs always stayed invested in me, but the feedback was very critical. It was very harsh and it was very direct. I appreciate it, but there were definitely those days and those weeks where it required a little bit more alcohol than I would like to admit to get to sleep at night. I took a lot of pride in the work that I was doing, and I just don't think that that's fair for us to do anymore. I think it's really important to be able to have a high standard and evolve beyond completely reactive criticism to giving people a clear expectation, then guiding them to meet that. And then what do I mean by making it easy? I mean quite literally not playing psychological games and helping people understand exactly what success looks like. That means, to me, pictures of what a dish is supposed to look like. Clear, easily replicatable recipes so that people can get on board really quick. Clear, replicatable recipes that actually work, that produce an end result. And I really think it's critical to remove the to taste from recipes as well. Now, I know that that may sound blasphemous. I really do, because I understand I want people to learn how to taste. But how can I expect a new cook that's never worked with me before to get things to taste the way I want them to? I've run operations that are just way too big for me to be able to taste literally everything every single day. And if I don't have an immediate opportunity to help people understand how I want things to taste, then that's not necessarily reasonable. So I'm getting seasoning down to the 10th of a gram, to the gram, to understand that salt is going to make up this percentage of the recipe. And this is what I want it to taste like. This is why I season it that way. So I don't rely on the to taste to fill in those gaps. Try and get those recipes as dialed in as humanly possible so that they can use my ratios, use my recipes, and execute at a benchmark that I established intentionally as opposed to arriving at an end result by accident. That's what I mean. Those are the 5 key pieces that I see chefs who thrive in their roles truly own and hone in on and do, as opposed to the ones who are struggling and overwhelmed. Now, if you are one of the chefs who is struggling with overwhelm and burnout, then please, I would encourage you to reach out so that I can help you implement these steps of executive chef mise en place into your repertoire so that you can get clear on your time, so that you can create a new schedule and new habits, so that I can help you get the recipes, the standards, the systems, and the structure in place so that you can guide your team to success. And to do that, just click the link below so that we can schedule a call, or enter into the chat that you want to schedule a call with me and I'll get connected with you so that I can support you through your process and see you come out the other side thriving in your role. So those key 5 steps are going to change everything in an environment, and they take some time to introduce. But preparation, and specifically the thorough practice of executive chef level mise en place, is the key to truly thriving. You can't become what you're going to unless you let go of some of those older style habits that you once had. When you hone in and build habits that allow you to effectively manage the 4 most important resources that we have to manage in the kitchen, you will thrive. And after you thrive, then your team and your operation will absolutely follow along with you.